This is Marcos from Tomorrow's June. This episode of Voice Parties was sponsored by All Roads Garage Doors. Call now at 510-375-8756. All Roads Garage Doors. Get your garage door needs at All Roads.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners of the grand public, we have an author right here on our show. And the title is Renewed, Restored, Reassembled.
He's good at this kind of thing. That's why I can't really do that.
Please, authoress, introduce yourself to our listening public.
Gee, thank you so much. Noehmi Guerra. Translation is Delightful War. Previously known as Noehmi Orozco Martinez for like 29 years of my life.
What did you say? Delightful
War.
That's
what my name means. Noehmi means delightful, and my last name Guerra is war. So delightful war, and it also means faith without religion.
Yeah. That's delightful war. I didn't know that's what Noehmi meant.
And faith without religion. Those are two opposing. That's some nice juxtaposition right there. Right. Delightful war. Like, I had such fun subjugating the other people under my boot heel. It was great. There was candy. There's great spoils. A lot of drink. Good times.
This is a stacked book.
It is.
Hey, we were just talking about it, but this is your life story,
right?
Since you were a baby
since I can remember.
You sit down on that couch. No, I'm just kidding.
A little bit before, but yes, until September 22nd of 2019, which is my 30th birthday. My 30th.
30th. So how long? I know we asked, but I gotta ask you on here. How long did it take you to write this again?
So
this is a lot.
It is. You know? April of 2019. The first submission we did was July 25th, which was my son's second birthday.
Okay.
And I had to go back, as he mentioned, and rewrite a few more things. And that was submitted September 22nd, which was my 30th.
Rewrite why, though? Like, if you don't mind me asking. I know we kind of touched on it, but
I had to go write because it impacted me when the book came out. Okay. And
so there's earlier editions before this one?
No.
Oh, no.
No,
okay.
When I published it in July 25th, I had a couple of pre-orders. One of those pre-orders had impact, which was my sister, my own sister. Our relationship got distorted because she read some things on the book. She didn't read the whole book. She didn't read my whole story. She went directly to where she knew it was about her.
Yeah. And
she felt how she felt. And that made me feel some kind of way. Oh. So I was also doing YouTube videos, Delightful War on YouTube. And I stopped. One, because our iPod shattered. And the other one, because my sister, out of all people, felt so strongly. She felt so hurt, as she told me. And it hurt me. Because the last thing I wanted to do with this book is hurt anybody.
Yeah.
It's meant to help people. If anything, it's meant for someone to read a basic story of a girl who grew up in Richmond. If anybody knows Richmond, you know you go through a lot just by living there, period.
Yeah.
Let alone growing up with a single mother. It's a lot to the story. Someone's life, you can't just bottle it up in a paragraph. And that's exactly what she did. She read a paragraph about her and her husband, and that was it. And it hurted our relationship because our relationship wasn't tight.
Is someone she's still with?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Our relationship wasn't tight to begin with. We were already trying to reconstruct it. So with this happening, it kind of took us back to square one, which, I'm okay with. Yeah. Because after I went back and I rewrote and I expressed my feelings, I expressed how she made me feel and how that put a hold in my life. And after I was able to let go and I was able to put it in how I did everything else, I felt peace.
Yeah.
Because I know that sometimes there's seasons and people are going to come in your life and they're going to go out of your life, and it doesn't matter who it is, because you know what? When you're in line with God, you feel peace.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta say that would you call it a memoir or a biography?
Autobiography.
Autobiography. Now this I was looking at it. It's over 500 pages long, and I have so much respect for its volume. This is usually like at the amount of pages you have in here. Like I don't know if you're familiar with fantasy or science fiction publications, but the way they work is your first book in a trilogy starts off maybe 200, 300 pages. But as the books continue in a series, they get thicker because there's more and more characters, there's more and more lore, like someone's building a world. What you have here is volume 2 potentially in a fantasy set. But it's all about I'm looking forward to diving into this myself. Honestly. Like
I wanted to go back to what you were talking about. At one point did you think about just sticking to what you had originally wrote and like? I mean, I know you said you
apologies. I didn't rewrite anything. I added to it.
Oh, you added to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't go back and change anything because my life is my life.
Yeah, no.
Right. I can't go alter anything because it already happened.
Okay, that's what I.
If anything, I added more to it because I probably remembered something as I was, writing, and I say, oh, you forgot to add this. Yeah. So I'll go back and redo it. Okay. So no, nothing was rewritten. Okay.
I mean, I don't want to, because I want people to read it.
Definitely.
And find out, but I wanted. I mean, was it some? Well, see,
I could tell you. Let me tell you. Okay. You're probably thinking what made you start, or how did it start?
Yeah, like is it something that like affected her marriage?
I don't think. I think it was just that they were both mentioned in the book.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because I went when that happened, when she got hurt, I went back and I read what she read.
Okay, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I prayed about it. I cried about it. Heck, I didn't write and I didn't do videos for a while. And I told myself, like, no, this is not me. Like, this is not why you were assigned to write the book. So I got out of my feelings, out of my own personal feelings, wrote them in there, and that's it. That's all. I have peace. I love my sister, and I know our relationship is going to get distorted when the time's right. Yeah. I don't... Let me tell you, the person that my family is used to, or the person that people are used to that grew up with me, that know me, even last year, I'm not the same person. Right. And I could tell you, like, it shows in the way I am, the way I speak. Just to give you an example, I was at work the other day. Somebody asked me, where are you from? I said, Richmond. They looked at me sideways. They said, you don't sound like you're from Richmond. You don't look like you're from Richmond. How am I supposed to sound? Like, a lot of people can't.
Just lift your shirt. There's a sound like, oh, yeah. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, something like that, No, I'm working on having impeccable speech. And that is not known. Well, I'm not going to say it's not known in Richmond because a lot of people, speak, however they'd like. But growing up in the Hill and growing up where I grew up, what people tend to call the hood.
Easter Hill?
Easter Hill, the Hill, yeah. Like, it was just Latinos and African American, Black, I call brown. I mean, to me, it's like, if you read about me, you'll see that I got fully connected to my roots at this age, and, we could talk for days. I tell you that, if I would have known the information as a child that I know now, I probably would have been, podcasting a long time ago. No, it's because growing up in the Hill,
one of my best friends is from the Hill.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. So that's
everybody knows everybody. That's for sure. I had real girl issues. I grew up without a dad. I'm not saying those were my issues, but that's one of the things that impacted my life. I also grew up as the youngest sibling. So my brother was more in like Chicano culture, kind of, like brown pride, all that, kicking it with, gangsters, just
Cholo
people.
Life.
I mean, but he wasn't a cholo. He wasn't banging. He was there. Okay, my sister was more, with her friends, but also like growing up where we grew up, we weren't told that brown was pretty. You're not told. that your skin tone, to accept yourself for who you are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
light skinned people were pretty. And
hello.
and the dark people.
And I was darker as a kid, believe it or not. So I was the darkest in my family, and I used to be made fun of for it. Mind you, probably my siblings, emotional much. My siblings probably didn't think that impacted me at all. It did a lot.
Oh yeah.
A lot. To not know our history, that our ancestors were here before the Men of Steel came and, slaughtered everything. It's a lot to not know your history and your roots, because you carry all these generational things that you have no idea where they come from, and then again, I know I'm probably speaking on a different level, but once you tap into, spiritual, and you realize that, we're all the same.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And like a lot of it, basically no one can hurt you like the people that love you.
Oof.
I mean,
you could say that again.
Yeah. So all, and other people suffer with the same things, but on a different level,
Definitely. No one's exempt.
No. So I think that's why it hurts more when it's like someone in your family telling you certain things, like, hey, pinche gordo, ven pa' acá. Like,
that was my nickname.
Oh yeah?
Gorda.
Oh, you were.
I didn't think I was,
okay.
all my life, I was that.
Yeah.
And whether you take it as a joke or not, being called fat every day, it kind of
stabs
you a little, day by day,
Sure.
and it's all in there. I didn't shy away from anything. I tell you, if anything, I would want to know how it impacted my husband, because I'm his wife, and that's until God wants, of course.
He mentioned that, like, a lot of guys wouldn't want to hear what their woman's past, and I mean, ego will allow you not to, but like,
it's a lot.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I'm telling you personally, it's a lot.
Okay.
I'm not proud of a lot of things I did in my early 20s, but I didn't shy away from anything.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing
was that
at
hard?
all.
Was that hard?
Very hard. Crying with boogers down my nose
while you're writing.
While I'm typing.
Yeah.
I had to.
He's confirming that yes,
I had to. And at times I would tell myself, like, no, I don't want to. And I'd go back in, why are you doing it? I'm not doing it for me.
Yeah.
At all. I wrote it not to say I'm an author. I'm barely embracing that. Like he said, it kind of like, oh snap, that's me. But no, I did it just for that. To glorify
did you
God,
second guess
period.
sometimes? Like,
I did.
Guess,
I doubted myself so much to the T.
Like, I don't want to put this out there. Yeah.
Tell me, out of all the people who would want to write all their flaws, whoever they slept with, whoever they hurt, whoever wronged them, how many times they've lied, every single thing that people shy away from.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm naked and unashamed because God made me that way. Mm-hmm. And I was not this person before. That's a for sure. That's a for sure thing. Right.
Naked and ashamed.
Naked and unashamed because, it takes somebody to help other people.
Yeah.
And if I could be an example, you could read all my mistakes and read everything and read how I am now, then, praise God, because...
That's brave, because you know what? Like me, I can sometimes hide the truth in a joke, because I do stand up.
Yeah.
I can hide the truth that I put out there in a joke, like, oh, it's just a joke,
Right.
And then no one has to know. But when it's a book and it's an autobiography, like, oof, like that's gonna be out there for the world forever, like in this cloud of consciousness of people that know it, and like it's gotta be hard to.
It is to swallow, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially because. You think, oh my God, people that know you are going to read it.
Yeah.
People that don't know you but are going to know you're going to read it. Like, you start thinking a lot of things. And one of those was my daughter reading it. My daughter knowing me since I was young up until now. I think it's helped our relationship a lot, because me being sick for the past, let me jump into where he stopped. Mm-hmm. So July of 2016, I got sick. My stomach used to hurt a lot. I was in a lot of pain. And then I could barely take, 4 or 5 bites out of a meal. Wow. And that was all I could eat. Barely a couple of sips of water. I would go to the doctor and, go to the GI department. We went to the specialist. They did a colonoscopy and endoscopy. We had the surgeries came after my son. But the day we found out of my son was coming, November 22nd of 2016, my husband took me into the ER because I was in a lot of pain. So we thought it was my appendix, and we're like, oh my God, So the doctor was like, no. They did a pregnancy test, and they said, well, you're very much pregnant. And I kind of looked at him like, hey, you're going to be a dad. And we're both like crying. And then they said, hey, your gallbladder is acting up. So I was faced with a decision. So either I had the surgery, which meant, no more pain, but also meant no son.
Oh, jeez.
So I stayed with my pain through my pregnancy, which was, if I'm being honest, a total nightmare, because I was in pain and also trying to give life to this baby, which, impacted all parts of me.
To this day?
To this day, yeah, of course. I got postpartum with my son. Like my husband said, I couldn't swaddle him. The pain after I had him, the pain wouldn't go away. It was there. So then I had, then in October of 17, he had to rush me in to get, was it 17, 18, 17, right? Because he was born in July. So in October, I got rushed in to get my appendix taken out. And we thought it was going to be my gallbladder. But they're like, no, it's my appendix. So, and at the time, I'm in the hospital, and he ran to go get my daughter and my nephew from school. And they're calling him like, hey, she's about to go into surgery. So he's like, oh, okay, it's her gallbladder. They're like, no, it's her appendix. And he's like, what? Wow. So anyway, we go through that surgery. And then in March, I got my gallbladder taken out. But before that, in November, I had a LEEP procedure done because, I don't know if you know what a LEEP procedure is.
No.
Okay, so it's basically they take a scar tissue out of your private area. It's a female, so you won't get cervical cancer. Oh, yeah. So it's a screening.
Okay, yeah.
And after that, it was my gallbladder in March. So, then after that, we were still dealing with the prolapse. So basically, my bladder dropped in a way, so it's not where it's supposed to be. Yeah. So, it's an inner issue that. I could walk around with a smile on my face, but in my head, I could be irritated as heck because I don't feel good. And, probably more female, will relate more so. But, it's just things that I was dealing with. I was very much depressed through this period of time.
Sounds like a lot.
It's a whole lot. When I gave birth to my son, I was 220 pounds. I lost, right now I'm at like 130. I didn't do no exercise. I didn't do nothing to lose the weight. So I tell you, my husband actually sent me a post earlier that said, body made by God or something like that. And I was like, that's me, because I didn't do no exercise. I didn't do anything. I tell you what I did do. April 7th of 2019, I jumped in the shower. I was tired. I was in pain. I was irritated, frustrated. I didn't know what else to do. I was holding on my job by a thread. Yeah, it was what, 19. So that started 2016. So it was already past 3 years. And mentally, I was to the almost breaking point to have a breakdown. So I jumped in the shower. I'm in the shower and I'm praying. And as I'm praying, I said, Lord, I know you heal. I know you heal. And through the blood of Christ, I'm going to be healed. So within my prayers, I received the word, Naaman. You know the story of Naaman? Mm-hmm. Okay, how he had to jump in the Jordan River 7 times to get healed from leprosy.
Yes.
Oh.
So my heart was full of leprosy. Ouch. I had embodied every hurt that I had dealt with through all the sickness that I was going through. I'm talking about family, friends, myself, me being jealous of my own husband for taking care of my son because I couldn't do it. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Especially as a mother, like, I know that's got to be
very. And I tell you, I introduced myself to my son last year in May, I believe. May of 2019. So in April 7th, when I was in the shower, I had to forgive everybody by name, without an apology, without anything. And it was like God gave me like a whole rundown of my whole life. Why you went through this, why you went through that, why this, why that. So I jumped in 7 times, gripping my stomach. Through the blood of Christ, I'm healed. I know, and it was something that I knew that I know that I know. And it's something that nobody can change you. When your faith and your beliefs, if you're, firmly in a solid foundation, nobody could change that. And I guess I believed. And once I got out the shower, I'll tell you, guess what? Strictly to my daughter's room, I said, hey, guess what? Your mom's back. And I had to say your mom's back because my health took a toll on our relationship, took a toll on her faith, took a toll on her, on the whole family, but individually.
Did it cause problems between you guys?
Not at all.
No, okay.
At all. That's the one thing, and that's why I tell him he's heaven sent. That's the one thing that throughout the whole time, I would look at him dead in his face and tell him, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, because not once have we pointed the finger at each other. Yeah. Not once have we said, this is your fault. This is why we're here. Right. Not at all. He actually shared a meal with me for 2 years. So he would serve himself a plate, us a plate, and he would tell me, eat what you can and I'll finish. Just a few months ago, we stopped doing that.
Wow. Even after you were already...
Even after it was kind of like we had it. And I was like, you know what? Because I know he eats. I know my husband. Like, I'm not saying he's, but... And I'm getting more appetite now. I'm gaining, I'm not saying I'm gaining weight because I'm not. But, I'm eating more. Right, so it's good. It's wonderful. Like, I turn around and be like, I'm hungry. And I know he loves hearing that because... It was at some point, it used to break him, me telling him I'm not hungry or I can't eat.
Wow. Yeah.
She'd be scared to be hungry.
He said you'd be scared to eat. That's
because of the pain.
Mm-hmm. and so he was there with you through
it all.
I know that bringing it.
We had the holidays with the family, and they looking at her funny, and I'm really looking at them like she's in pain. Yeah. And they like, oh, okay. And it's like, I don't know what they've been going through. You know what I mean? Like, man, scared to eat. You scared to take that next shot, because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, she was scared to just take the next bite. You know what I mean? Like, doctors can't tell you what to do. They tell you just go ahead and try different shit. Well, try eating that. Try and eat that. Try and eat that. Man, I don't want to eat nothing. But you telling me to try different shit? Mm-hmm. Man, I wanted to bust a whole bunch of doctors over the head. Man, I imagine a few doctors laying there bloody headed. You know what I mean? Just because you can't tell us nothing. You know what I mean? And this is that gentle voice that y'all just fell in love with a second ago. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad, bro. Like depression. Like real, we don't know what,
I just picture you beating the shit out of a doctor.
That's the bear. You know what I mean?
Bear, yeah. The bear eats meat. Yeah, no, I mean, that's, yeah. So how long was it of you not being able to eat at all? Like, because that...
So it started in July of 2016. I was able to eat a little bit more when I was like 5 months pregnant. Okay. Because all through my pregnancy, I was throwing up every day. Wow. My morning sickness did not stop.
Was there complications with the baby?
No. My baby, he was fine. He was fine. But, go ahead.
Like, we're heading into work. Everything was going to be a regular day. We pull over on the 80 by Ashby. She's throwing up out the car. Her hand starts shaking. She don't know what's going on. I probably shouldn't even tell this story right now. I'm going to just interject with this story. So we pull over on Ashby, she throwing up out, not to get, gruesome or nothing, but she's throwing up out the door, all that. We jump back in the car. Her hands start locking up because her body's going into shock from throwing up so much. It's early morning. She ain't ate nothing. She's pregnant. We're like 3 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the 80. I jammed to Oakland. I got to get to Kaiser. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get up Broadway. I'm trying to turn, there's one way. She's like, stop turning so much. I'm like, I'm not listening. I'm running red lights. And we pull up to ER at Kaiser. I literally throw her over my shoulder. I didn't think, damn, I just threw my pregnant wife over my shoulder. That's her belly bouncing up and down on my big old shoulder. Mm-hmm. So, I run into the doors. They're like, bro, we got her. We sit her down in a wheelchair. And I walk outside and I break down like I got her in the building. I don't know what's gonna happen. They got her. You feel me? And I don't know what's gonna happen. And yeah, man, we
spent the whole day there that day.
Whole day. My mom and sister came. Just took care of us. And
that was from the gallbladder? The gallbladder?
I think, now replaying back, I think it might have been the gallbladder because at the time, the pain, they couldn't really detect it. Well, they had detected, they said the gallbladder wasn't really working, but because I didn't get surgery, I had to, just process it. And I started hyperventilating and that whole portion of it, when we found out we were pregnant up until around that area, it was kind of scary because at first they were like, oh, the baby's not where he's supposed to be, or oh, it's a possible miscarriage or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so that was like the first thing we had with the pregnancy, along with the pain and not being able to eat. So at times mentally, I would think I wasn't nurturing my baby enough.
Yeah.
I had to go to therapy. I had to go to Mommy and Me when I had my son because I literally, mental health is real.
Yeah.
Very real.
And
a lot of
postpartum
people...
depression is real.
Very real.
Yeah.
A lot of people shy away from it. I'm not shying away from anything. There's like 2 chapters in there labeled depression.
Right.
Because it's a lot what you go through, especially when you've been abused, verbally, sexually, whatever abuse you've been through. It takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
Certain things as you grow up, as a kid that traumatize you and you never speak on it and you grow up with it and now you have these issues and you can't pinpoint where they come from, but it's because of that. It's a lot of things. Like I tell you, I didn't shy away from anything, but our life has been very, very much genuine. And I say that because the situations that we've been in, I've known of relationships breaking up.
Oh yeah.
Being close to almost getting evicted and then having a 60-day notice, and he had to lose he got rid of 2-3 jobs, I think, because of my health. And that's not an easy thing, coming from him being established and stable in one employment for, so long. We got a lot of criticism, a lot of talk, a lot of backlash from my family, his family, for him not working, for me being sick and not fully being able to work. They didn't actually say that, but
Right, yeah.
I mean, what was the reason?
Yeah.
It was my health. And
I got a quick question. You
sure.
just
Go ahead.
So all this, he knew you basically all this you told him, I'm sure, before,
No, as I was writing, he was reading.
So he didn't know all of it.
Not everything.
Okay.
I mean, of course, as a relationship, you get to know people.
Right.
But even things that I would shy from myself are in the book.
Okay.
So there's some things that were new to him as he was reading.
Right.
Not everything, of course, because, some things he, lived with me.
Right.
But before that, I was a single mother for 9 years. When I met him, it was kind of, I don't know, I guess it was divine intervention, you could say.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't looking for anybody. I was celibate in church. I was a youth leader, and I was in the pastoral discipleship. So I was like fully had already, with God, like, hey, wherever you lead me, that's where I'm going to be. Committed. But the enemy stroke, I met him August of 13, I think. And October 30th of 13, I got abused.
Oh.
Yeah. So I fell in depression for some time. Even got suicidal. I abused narcos. I was careless mentally, not caring. Praise God, he took me out of that. And now I'm able to speak about it. I'm able to tell it. I'm actually working on something that it's a hard pill to swallow, but have you ever been raped?
Oh.
That's what it's called.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me.
No, sorry, I'm not asking you. I apologize. No.
Like, wait, no.
But it made you think, didn't it?
I mean, I've passed out in places. I was like, wait. I thought you like you were asking me. Yeah, sorry.
No, a lot of women have, not just women.
Yeah.
Let me just say people.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of people have lost their lives because of that. A lot of people have fell into drug addictions because of that. They don't know how to deal with it. Let alone how to take your mind out of that, And
we just talked about it.
Oh yeah, we just talked about it earlier. Yeah.
And it's tough because of course that doesn't define me. But did I think that way before?
Yeah.
You know, did I feel guilt and shame even though it wasn't my fault? I did. And I know everybody goes through that, whether you're a female or a male.
Yeah.
Your mind plays these tricks on you where I had to go to therapy. I had to. They put me on antidepressants for about a month. I didn't feel myself, and I took myself out of them. I said, no, this is not me. I started writing, which actually lost that laptop, but I somehow want to get it back because there's some good information in there. I was able to allow my inner self to express how I felt about him, about what he did to me, about me, and how I felt, and how I felt like something was ripped. I couldn't do anything. I was trapped. I felt trapped on my own body.
Yeah.
And it's something that mentally it strips you from a lot of power.
Right.
Whether you might physically look okay, you're not. And I couldn't hold on to my church duties. I couldn't hold on to none of that. So I stopped going to church. I stopped going to church. I was still praying, but my spirit or my faith wasn't intact. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. And you know how it was, I guess. So
did you question your faith a little bit, or you just got away from there because of you just don't want to be around people?
The way it happened was the day it happened, I didn't tell nobody. I was kind of in shock, like what's going on. The most shocking thing was that I knew this person. It wasn't like a stranger or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to wrap my head around what happened. I didn't want to call it that. I didn't want to label myself as that. So a lot of things happened within that. I felt dirty, so I wanted to shower, which is what they tell you not to do. Don't shower. You're supposed to call the cops and blah, 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 blah. But you don't think of that at that moment.
Right.
I didn't do a police report until a week later. And I only did it because my brother and the pastors at the time were encouraging me, like, well, you have to pursue.
Yeah.
I did. And that was scary as hell. It's you're being interrogated and going to have to replay again what you went through, which is not an experience you want to replay in your head.
Oh, yeah.
So at the time when I'm in therapy, they use on me what the soldiers use. I forget what's the term of it. It's a D or something. I forget. But anyway, it's kind of like
not declassified. No, that's way off.
It's like they change it's a therapy where they basically, you close your eyes and you're hearing like a bell kind of. But you're going back to
like hypnosis kind of.
Not hypnosis. You're fully intact, but mentally you're taking back to that day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And as you're reliving the story, you implement something. So for me, it was a black jaguar. So in my mind, I'll tell you this because you can read about it, but in my mind, when that day comes, whenever my mind tries to remind me of that day, I'm in the backseat of the car, but there's a jaguar there. And when he tries to come at me, the jaguar gets his head.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was through the therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That your mind put that jaguar in this.
That's right.
And did that kind of I'm just thinking about, like, is that like
it
something?
Happened? No, I know it happened. I know I went through it and everything. But when I go back to replay it in my head, all that pain and all that hurt doesn't get to me.
The jaguar.
The jaguar.
So that's like a little guardian angel type of thing that's there to protect you from, especially from reliving it.
That's right.
It's a catharsis. Yeah.
Wow, that's it's kind of beautiful in a way that's there. I mean, I've never heard of that like that before. I've heard of it in other aspects. And what? Well, I mean, I guess I don't. Whenever something like this is brought up, I'm always like kind of afraid of asking for details. Like, I mean, you provided a lot of details.
I tell you,
but like, was justice served finally?
No, the case was closed.
Oh.
And for years, I wanted to get a report. For years, I need to get that report. And God cleared me from all that. I don't need a report. He could say whatever he wants to say. He could say that he didn't do it,
Yeah.
I was there. I know he did it. I healed from it, and I just want to help other people because I know a lot of people don't speak up because they're scared.
Right.
They're scared of the backlash. Well, what were you doing? Well, you shouldn't have been there.
Or,
you shouldn't have done this.
Or even worse, what were you wearing?
Yeah.
And the fact that your church supported you in that, because I've heard some stories where women are just,
no.
they flip it around and they're like, oh, was it your, but it sounds like they backed you up. Or
no,
am I wrong?
No. Let me tell you, they backed me up in telling me to go. But the conversation I had with them hurt me because his wife, as you mentioned, what were you wearing? She didn't say that, but she said, can someone get raped without having all their clothes off? That was her question to me. So your face expression was mine. Like, wait, what? So it shell shocked me because as right now, like a woman telling another woman, I didn't want to tell her like, no, you just need your bottom parts to, I don't need to get there. But the conversation that happened between us did impact me. It hurt me that it was also a key point why I left church. I was in charge of their Facebook pages. I used to have a house of peace. So I was very into I changed in a way. So before that, my early 20s, when I turned 21, I started going to a bar with my sister, with my friends, going clubbing or whatever. So that was me. I felt independent. I felt like I'm paying my bills. I'm going to work. My daughter is taken care of. I'm fine. That mentality.
Like most reasonable 21-year-olds.
Which
feel
right. Don't mean it's right, but that's how I was feeling. And with all that, then I fell into this relationship where it didn't get to physical. Well, I don't know if you call shaken physical abuse. To me, it was the most I've ever gotten as physical abuse, and I wasn't gonna let it get any further. So when that relationship stopped, that's when I got dedicated with God. I wasn't trying to bring not just anybody into my daughter's life.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be all godly or holy or anything. I needed a change, and I did. I cried at, I did an altar call. I cried and, I started changing. I started changing so much that, I stopped clubbing. I stopped drinking. I stopped, doing all that fun stuff that, we call fun. But it's really just a waste of time in my book now. But, it's everyone's decisions to each his own. So as I stopped doing that, of course, the friends you hang out with, they kind of stop, hanging around with you because now you're not, going out clubbing and you're not doing this. So, my circle got smaller and smaller. And then that happened to me. And then I completely shut down from everybody. It took me a while to even hug my brother. Probably close to a year of that, having him next to me, like he would be on that couch just like you are, and I could be on this couch, and he would want to hug me if he sees me crying, but he wouldn't attempt because he knew, where I was at mentally. Yeah. So it took a lot. Yeah. It took a toll on a lot of relationships, personal relationships. In that period of my life, my sister didn't know how to be there for me. And in that same period of my life, she got with her husband, which is who she's with now, which is shared in the story. So it's kind of like I didn't shy away from however everybody else made me feel, because if I'm going to write my truth, I'm also going to write my feelings, which are my truth as well. So however
your experience is like that has nothing to do with how they feel.
That's right. Yeah. But I'm also not responsible of how you intake that. Yeah. So, and I think that's the part, like, I'm very much at peace with however anybody else takes or however they feel in regards to reading the book, because I know the purpose of it and I know that I didn't lie. And any single page of that book is very much real. And if whoever want to go detail by detail, we could go detail by detail.
How long has it been out for now?
Since September. So what, just 3-4 months?
Yeah.
Kind of.
What has been the reaction you've gotten from it, especially from people you grew up with or people that know you and didn't know a lot of this? Like, what's been,
Well, I'll share. Well, I shared you guys the one with my sister.
Yeah, your sister. Yeah.
A couple of people that I grew up with, purchased it. They supported, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited!" Actually, a person where I work actually purchased it, and he's like, "It's really good, like really good." And I'm like, "Okay." So, I mean, I've read it, and she's impactful. Just speaking as a third party, she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
More than what you would think a 30-year-old would go through. She doesn't shy away from anything. And it's very much conversational because my 29-year-old steps in, like wherever I was talking about, like my 9-year-old be like, well, this is what I would think now. And this is what I would, stuff like that. Yeah. And even if you flip it in the back, it says like, it's a shout out. If I ever hurt anybody, come let me know.
Yeah.
Because believe me, I don't want nobody walking around and be like, she hurt me. No, come. Let's heal. Let's heal together.
Yeah,
it's a daily progress.
And, for someone who's gone through what you've been through and still have your faith, that speaks volumes. Because so many people fall away, they never come back. But you're still praising God. And as a man of faith myself, it strengthens my own faith to hear that in someone.
I get the name of the book now.
Yeah.
Do you recommend like someone put their story out like this? Like, I mean, sometimes certain things aren't for everybody.
Like definitely. I tell you, if there's a chapter in there called Richmond 2007. I don't know if you guys, we were talking about state of emergency and all that. Yeah. That was a very impactful year in my life. It had to do with my daughter's biological dad.
Okay.
And I actually, when I turned 18, I left to Mexico because he committed a crime. Oh. And me thinking that my daughter had to grow up with her dad because I didn't grow up with mine, we left. So I spent 6 months of my life in Mexico. And my mom actually went out like a homeless person with my picture, with my daughter, our picture. And she asked for money so she could buy my plane ticket. Because she herself, she didn't have money to afford a ticket, but she wanted to help, and that's what she did. So February 11th of 2008, we came back.
Wow.
And since then, we haven't gone anywhere. Well, besides San Leandro, but in Richmond, yeah.
So you were in Mexico for what, 6 months?
6 months, yeah.
6 months. And he stayed over there?
For the time that he was alive,
okay.
yes.
Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. That's and that's all in.
It's all in
all the details are in there.
It is.
No, that's a very common thing. That's a common story. Like I mean, I grew up here too, and something happens, and then in those years, I saw a lot of stuff go down. Like I mean, we were talking about this with another guest, Dante Clark. We grew up growing up in Richmond, we all suffer from PTSD. From
definitely.
It's a lot of things we've seen growing up. I remember witnessing at a very young age like a shootout. And then I saw that same car and I remember the song they were playing. And every time I hear that song, it takes me back to those memories of like,
That's trauma. Definitely.
The blood and like the type of gun. It's Spice One song.
Oh my, you could quote it too.
Yeah, I think I don't know why, but I have it on my phone. But like, all those memories kind of stick with you, and then it's hard sometimes visiting certain places that you grew up.
I'll give you an example. Where my sister lives now, I used to live there. The other day, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and he kind of mentioned the SWAT team, right? Mm-hmm. And that took me to a place in my life where the SWAT team was banging in the door and open up, it's SWAT. Yeah. And you're like, and I wasn't even 18 at the time. Yeah. So, I could so relate to that because there's events in your life that are impactful. Some are traumatic, and they do. They take you there. And, sometimes you're healed and you're past it, but sometimes you're not and you're like, damn, you know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So go ahead.
So, you are officially among the you are I'm trying to find the right word, but at this point you're a writer. You know, it's just own it.
Yeah,
You're a writer.
right.
And like, I'm going to ask,
As soon as the first one printed.
of all of the of all of the questions that we have asked already of you, and what are probably going to come up after this, as a writer myself, I got to ask you something that is going to sound lame in comparison, but just for people listening out there who may be interested in writing something, what's your writing process like, or what was it like for writing this book? I know for me, like, you know, just, and not just process, but the motivation to get it done. Like, I write scripts for Frosted Mini Fears, you know, which is what Phil and I, you know, at this point, it's me, Phil, and JD at this point. JD just joined the team this year. But, you know, I write my scripts, but mainly it's due to, we're going to start filming in 6 months. Things have to get done, you know. But as far as for my own purposes, I have a novel that's 11 pages in, and it's been 11 pages for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But so what's your process like? And then, like, describe that motivation that helps you to get this done, you know?
Well,
It's a work of art.
You know, because I find I need deadlines. You know, I'm like, all right, got to be done next week. You know,
God. April 7th of 2019. Leap of faith. Getting it answered, and fully not feeling pain. Like when.
Did you have a deadline for yourself?
I thought I did.
Okay.
I thought it was my son's birthday. I probably was just trying to be cool. But I wasn't done yet. And it shows in the book, it says, I thought I was done, but God wasn't done. I felt motivated to do it because I understood why I went through everything I went through. As a child, as a teenager, as a parent, as me now, even the struggles now, you know, it has strengthened my faith. It has, you know, I started saying this a few months ago. Praise him even on the negative. Be positive even while you're negative. Whether it's negative bank account, negative attitude, whatever is negative that you have, be positive. Because we have that ability to switch it around.
Yeah.
We're not taught a lot. Like what we're actually supposed to be taught, we're not taught how to speak to yourself, how to talk to yourself, how to motivate yourself, heck, how to learn how to be yourself.
Yeah.
We're always like, it said, you know, I read about it, I speak about it. I grew up wanting to be like my sister. She wanted it to be like what was popular, right? I didn't look that way. I didn't speak that way. So that wasn't me. So I didn't accept myself for a while. And that was very impactful because then I wasn't spoken to as a young lady how you're supposed to. Like, hey, you know, you start growing, your body starts developing, boys are going to start looking at you, you know, they're going to want to start dating you. Hey, you know, don't open your legs because that's, you know, sacred, blah, blah, blah. All of that stuff. My mom was a single parent and I understand her. And we actually just had this conversation a while ago. And I told her, you have nothing to apologize about because, you know, maybe she wasn't taught. Maybe being so busy trying to put food and clothes and everything, you know, for us, you gonna miss a thing or two.
Yeah.
And having an older sister, maybe she thought, hey, she has her. I don't know. You know, I don't know what was going, you know, through her mind at that time. But I do know that everything that I went through, I was meant to go through. Why? So I could be honest and speak about it and not be ashamed. Because I'm really not. Like you could open that book and let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. Because I'm really not. Like, if anything, if you get anything from the book, I hope, if anything from the book, is just to have a personal relationship with God. I'm not talking about religion, because I grew up going to a lot of different churches that were religion, and you have to be this way, and you have to be that, and be yourself. Sorry, be yourself, but be your honest self. I'm talking about that person you look in the mirror and then it starts talking in your head, that inner self, that person. Once that person is healed and that person is aligned with your present now, this is what you get.
And then, like, I mean, through this, is that when you met him, your spouse now, or did he kind of help get that out of you? Because sometimes that does affect
our
like
relationship.
who you're with, you know. Who you surround yourself and stuff with, like not just a partner.
Since we started talking, actually texting, talking, it took us almost 2 years to actually go on a date. I think, yeah, about 1.5 years or something. Because, like I said, I wasn't just going to bring anybody to my daughter.
Yeah.
Nor was I looking for anybody, but we just clicked. I just felt so comfortable talking to him and, you know, sharing that. It was more like a safe space. Oh, excuse me. And having gone through what I went through, and let me take you back to that mentality I had. I was, being honest, contemplating of even not ever being with a man ever again.
Okay.
Ever again.
Yeah.
You know? Why? Because of what I went through and how I felt and how that made me feel. And I was, in a way, growing hatred towards male strength and male power. Yeah. So I didn't want to be around it. But God, he works in such ways where my husband didn't show me anything of that. He didn't show me no male macho, no testosterone, you know, none of that. He just he's regular person. He's that chimney of warmth. He's my provider. Grizzly. Yeah. You know, I was able to be open with him, and as much as I got things out of him, you know, talk to me. You know, I love to conversate. That's how you get to know people. That's how you get to know, you know, the real you know. Yeah. And I was very open since the jump. I was very open with him. I told him, you know, about, you know, my daughter's father. I told, you know, I told him about my father. I told him about my family. Like, you know, everyone's family is dysfunctional. No family's perfect. You know, it's just different dysfunctions. You know, but yeah, it was, you know, a lot of things, like having my son kind of made me see a different picture in regards to my dad, to my father. I didn't grow up with him. He left our family when I was 2, so I don't have no memories, you know, at all. My sister and my brother, they do. And even that, I didn't realize that I was resentful towards them, and they probably don't know it because they haven't read it. I was resentful towards them because they had that and I didn't.
Oh, I see.
You know,
so is this one of your first experiences with a father, like having him? So it's kind of like, let me not
downplay my stepdad. Okay. My mom,
I see.
Yeah, okay. My mom had a boyfriend since I was 3.
Oh, I see.
And they got married. Well, actually, I was their madrina, their godmother. Yeah. When I was 21. Yeah, 21. I think it was 21. Around there. I you know, I took him to Marin. They got married or whatever. But no, he actually on my 15th birthday, I didn't have a quince. So he asked me, what do you want? I said, I want a pound of See's candies. So he bought me my chocolate and gave me my bear hug. He took me to get my driver's license. He took me to get my car. When I was young, I had to get my tonsils removed, and he rushed me to the doctor. What else? All these things. He was my daughter's only grandparent. I'm getting so emotional. It's just a lot of things that he did.
Yeah.
That qualifies him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As my dad.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It sounds like he really loved you, like his own too.
He's still around? Oh, he's not around. Oh man.
No, and I didn't even get to say goodbye. Oh. So but look how God works. There's like a 10-page chapter in that book.
Yeah.
Where I allow myself to call him dad.
Right.
And I express everything that I never did.
Yeah. Now
y'all got me over here crying.
You know what?
Welcome to the voice party.
I just did the same because I just had an uncle who passed away last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I had a phone call. I've shared this on one of the episodes. I had a phone call with him, and that was the last phone call I had with him. And I don't know that was going to be the last phone call. And I felt like right then and there, like had this weird feeling like I want to say I love you or something, because he already had cancer everywhere, and I just felt it, and I didn't say it, and then like but then
he stayed with it.
That was the last time I spoke to him, because later on that week he passed. And a few weeks after that I saw another one of my close uncles pass away, a few months after that. But one thing that whenever I think about them here and there, I'll be here and I'll start crying, you know. I think because I lost them a few months apart from each other, and then a few months after that I lost my dog. So it was one thing I think about. I had a friend who came over the other day. He visited me on the anniversary of one of our friends' deaths, and he was tore up. He was drunk. He was high. He was going through a lot of emotions, and he just came over unannounced and said, you know, man, I'm just thinking a lot about You know, and we sat and we cried together for a bit, and I told him, you know what, dude, like everything you feel it's like I call it like a hangover of love that you had, you know, like it's an effect of love. Yeah. All this, if I didn't feel this, like, you know, that means the love wasn't real. Yeah. So I'm grateful every time I feel sad for loved ones that aren't here no more.
But with that sadness, just make sure you're allowing yourself to let go. Because sometimes we get those emotions and feelings, but we don't do anything about it.
Right.
So then when they come back around,
drink it off, or
there you go, and you just Band-Aid.
Yep.
And it's not fully actual. You know what? Okay, I need to release this. I need to let it go. I can't keep it.
Yep.
It does something to you.
Oh yeah, and it's good to let it, what you, like you said, because someone who didn't, I mean, I don't know, I kept hearing this at one point, like, you know, oh, you're gonna get over it eventually. Like, I don't even want to get over it eventually. I get it. You're gonna just have to get used to not having them around, and that's all. Because you're still gonna feel that no matter what. However old you get, however years pass, you're gonna find new loves and whatever, you know. But I don't think you're supposed to get over someone like absence, especially if they were connected to your soul. You know,
I think it's lessons.
Yeah.
It's not absences at all. It's lessons that we learn. Even with the people, you know, the a lot or little time that we get with them. That's why they say you don't take nobody for granted, and you always have to be appreciative, even if it's 5-10 minutes. You know, because every person, I believe, is meant to cause some kind of impact in your life, whether it's good, bad, whether you missed it. You know, it's still there.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm a firm believer of, if we don't learn the lesson, we're gonna replay it until we learn it.
Yeah.
Because there's a message in it.
And there's a lesson in everyone, and like in everything for us. And sometimes you are a lesson for someone.
That's right.
That's
right.
You know.
Yeah.
Wow, man. So I'm really interested in reading this. Like, where can we buy this? I know you mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to say this because I know you said it's available on Amazon, but how can I get it from you directly?
Definitely. You could. Well, I have Instagram. It's at left-handed ___ 3 underscores. Okay. And or you could just look up Delightful War. I believe it comes under Each Queen United in Progress. It's $25, the hard copy, and it's signed. And if I know you, or you know, we've interacted, then you know, I write a little something. Okay. You know, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to check this out. What I wanted to ask you is there another one in the works that you want to, like, I mean, because this is a lot but like,
you know, you're the second person that asked me that. Actually, someone said, where's the sequel? Is it in, you know, and I was, you know, I thought to myself, like, you know, like I said, I for one didn't even think I was gonna be an author, you know. But I'll tell you, you know, what I said, because I genuinely feel it. If there's more to add to this one, it will be added. Or if there's a different one, then, you know, I'm sure you guys will hear about it. I'll probably post about it or anything. But as at the moment, I want to focus on, I don't know what it is yet, but definitely speaking out and allowing, you know, a safe space and place, you know, for people, you know, to just be able to talk and be able to express themselves without, you know, a backlash, or without being judged, or without you know, people looking at you funny, you know, like, because everybody hurts differently, you know, and not everybody understands everybody's hurt. You know, so yeah. No,
everyone's own. It's weird because, like, whenever like you go out for help. You go out for help with someone that doesn't even know what you're going through, and everything that you need to help yourself is already in you.
That's right.
You know, so
That's
I mean,
right.
I like a lot of the stuff you mentioned was it's kind of heavy, you know, to hear and like to see how. No. But you know, it's to coming from both you guys, like you guys are both, you know, Ray Sunshine's walking around. And then,
thank you.
And then this. Yeah, that's a perfect name.
Delightful War.
Which you're winning. You're winning this war.
Trying. Progress daily.
bounce on something you said. It's right. Like the things that will heal you are in you.
That's right.
But any good therapist will tell you that most of what they do is listen. Yeah. Right. And just for those folks out there who may be wondering how they could help someone with the pain they have, and maybe they may not know exactly, because everyone's pain is different. Right. Just listening to your friends and family expunge about their pain can bring about that healing process, because it's inside of you, but you need someone to like bounce that off of,
let it out,
right? And I'm pretty sure everybody sitting here has been that ear for somebody, right. At some point. Shout outs to the listeners, man.
That's right.
All 4 of you.
And 3 of them are from Canada, right? That's how it was. Most of our fans are Canadian.
What's overall message you wanted to let out today? I know you shared yours. I always like to do this. Like what's like what you want people to, are you open to people reaching out to you if they want to talk about, because that's happened to some of my other guests with listeners. Yeah.
I'd be honest, I'm not no therapist.
Yeah.
But if I could help you in any way. Yeah. In any way, believe me.
On Instagram
you could DM me. I don't have all the answers in the world either.
You know where you can if you don't.
Exactly, and I'll tell you mine. Mm-hmm. Fold knees, prayer. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not trying to sell no religion. I'm not trying to, none of that. I truly believe that. Like you said, what's in you got placed. And I think that because of everything, to bottle it up, we're all a light, right? Mm-hmm. We're all a spirit. But because of everything that we go through in our lives, that light keeps getting dim and dim. But we don't know it because we're kids, then we're teenagers, and we're trying to figure out life, and we're trying to figure out ourselves. But then you add on everything you go through as a kid. And everything that impacted your life. Yeah. And then now you're this teenage adult and you kind of don't know yourself because of everything you've been through, and you think you're supposed to be this way, but that's not really you. So I want people to get to know themselves. Get to know that little person that used to be joyful and happy about the world all the time. That 8-year-old, 9-year-old. I tell you, in the book it says I fell in love with God when I was 9. I would go evangelize, knocking everybody's door. Hey, do you know Jesus? Like, do you know where you would go if you would die today? And I would know the book of life. And I was in a Baptist church, so they had the plan of salvation or something like that. So I would know every verse to the back of my head. And I would be so happy with my dresses and pumped up. But where was she at 13? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Where was she at 20? Yeah. And back at 29, we meet again. And I tell you, man, have a relationship with God is the best thing I could say. It's the best way I could point people. Well, you don't want to call him God, call him Yahweh. You don't want to call him Yahweh. A lot of people call him Allah. A lot of people call him different names, because I do believe that
the universe, I've heard called
the universe too. Yeah. This is my own personal belief. The gods of different religions is the same God. Yeah. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. So that's why, so I'll leave that at that.
No, that's been a fascinating story, and I will definitely be checking this out. Thank you for bringing it in so I can look at it and
definitely.
But that's, man,
the powerful. Like,
I appreciate you guys.
Strong story, and a very enlightening interview.
Yeah,
thank you.
No, yeah, I appreciate you like being that open with us.
Of course, that's what it's about.
Yeah, so I don't know what to say. Thank you for bringing in this.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and I hope our listeners who hear this episode can, not just go out and buy the book, but also find some sort of inspiration in themselves to follow suit, some healing. Yeah. And if you want some healing, buy the book.
Well, thank you guys for listening. That's been The Voice Party. We're out.
Thank you.